Hey, Hare Krishna, everyone. Then Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you for joining. We're reading Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, and I'm hoping that we can finish this chapter today because we just have last few verses to go. So that's why we'll get started right away. And then, if time permits, in the end, we can revise verses, but if not, at least we would finish the chapter. So we read till 65 last time. We have to start from 66. So the concepts that we were reading about is sense control. So Krishna is talking about the principle of sage of fixed intelligence or a sober-minded person, sage of fixed mind, right? And he's talking about sense control, how sense control is a very important concept for the munis, for these sages of fixed intelligence, that if your senses are not controlled, then it's very difficult to control the mind or the intelligence. So, first of all, senses need to be in control. And Krishna was talking about two ways to control the senses. One, he said, is restrain the senses, like withdraw the senses from the sense objects. So there he gave the example of the tortoise. He gave the tortoise analogy that how you withdraw, how the tortoise withdraws his limbs, like that you should withdraw your senses from sense objects. So that's one way of restraining the senses, is to restrain the senses from coming in contact with the sense objects. And then he gave a sequence of things that will happen if we don't withdraw from the sense objects and instead focus on them, right? Instead, if we dwell on them. And what was that called? Who remembers? How did that verse go, or what is that principle called?
Contemplation of sense objects, Mataji?
Yeah, contemplation on the sense object. So that's basically dhyato, remember?
Mhm.
ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसा सङ्गेषोपजायते सङ्गात् संजयते कामा कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते, right? So you remember, right?
Yes,
So,
Mataji.
okay, so sense control. I'm gonna see if I can write today. Yeah, today's writing. So sense control is the concept we are learning. One is to withdraw the senses, meaning refrain the senses, restrain the senses. Okay, don't let them come in contact with the sense objects. And there, Krishna gave the example of tortoise. Okay, withdraw the just like tortoise withdraws its limb. And the very important verses in this context is that you should not do dhyato. You should not absorb yourself or contemplate, dwell on the sense objects, because if you dwell on them, then you will develop attachment to them. Then the lust will develop, and then anger will develop. And then, if anger develops, then it's all lost, because once anger sets in, then there is no control over the memory or the intelligence. Everything gets lost, and the person falls down. So, a lot of things happen just by contemplating on the sense objects. So, one way of sense control is by withdrawing the senses. The other way of sense control is, what is the other way? Who can tell?
Develop a higher taste.
Yes. Oh my God, very bold. Puja Mataji, wonderful. Yes, higher taste. So basically, attaching your senses, not just withdrawing the senses from the sense objects, but actually connecting them to something higher, giving them the taste of something divine, something more auspicious than this material world, something better than what this world has to offer. So basically, spiritual activity, something related to Krishna, something related to absolute truth, to devotees, to scriptures, or eating prasadam, going to temple, things like that. So develop a higher taste. So if you absorb your, so basically the other is, one is withdrawing your senses from material sense objects, the other is attaching your senses or absorbing your senses in the divine sense objects or spiritual sense objects. So attaching your senses to the divine, it means giving higher taste. And who knows this verse, where Krishna gave the principle of higher taste? We learned this verse.
Is that
Is it?
the one Vishaya Vinivartante?
Yes, Hari Bol, Mataji, wonderful.
Yeah.
You want to recite?
Yeah, Mataji, sure. Vishaya Vinivartante Niraharasya Dehina Rasavarjam Rasopyasya Param Drashtva Nivartate.
Very bold, yes. Perfect. So, param drishtva, there is higher taste. So, param drishtva nivartate, param drishtva will happen, higher taste will happen, not just by withdrawing the senses, not just by refraining the senses, but actually attaching them to something higher. So, this is the concept of sense control. Okay. So, this is what we were learning. Let's go to our verse for today. Okay, let me share the screen again. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining. Pooja Mataji, Ramesh Prabhu, Hiral Mataji. So we have to start from 66 today. Let's recite this. 2.66. Nasti buddhir ayuktasya. Nasti
नास्ति बुद्धिरयुक्तस्य
na cha yuktasya bhavana. Na cha
न
न च
चायुक्तस्य
युक्तस्य भावना
भावना
na cha bhavyata shantir. Na
न
cha
न च
चाभव्यते
भावयतः
shantir.
शान्तिर्
Ashantasya kuta sukham. Ashantasya
अशान्तस्य
kuta
अशान्तस्य
कुतः
sukham.
कुतः
सुखम्.
सुखम्.
Okay, so these are quick, shorter purport. So we'll go through them quickly. Just going through the Sanskrit here. So there are two words here, ayukt and yukta. Okay. Ayukt basically means something that is not connected to Krishna, that is not attached to Krishna. Somebody or someone who is not yukt. So yukt comes from yoga. Okay. So yoga or yuj means to connect to Krishna, to connect your body, mind, senses, intelligence, everything to Krishna is called yoga. Ayukt means somebody who's not connected to Krishna. So ayukt means who's not in Krishna consciousness. Yukt person is somebody who is in Krishna consciousness. So here Krishna is saying, Nasti buddhir ayuktasya. That ayukta person who's not, whose intelligence, whose buddhi is not connected to Krishna. Na cha ayuktasya bhavana. Neither is intelligence nor nurture. Neither his intelligence nor his bhavana, his sentiments, his emotions are connected to Krishna. So neither his intelligence nor his sentiments, neither is connected to Krishna. Neither heart nor brain. Nothing is connected to Krishna. Nurture bhavyata shantir. So how can he get shanti? Ashantasya kutha sukham. If he cannot get shanti, if he's ashant, then how can he be happy? So such a person will always remain, such a person who is not connected to Krishna with their intelligence or with their heart cannot get shanti, cannot get peace. They will always be agitated, always be suffering, struggling, and such a person cannot get happiness. Such a person cannot be stable, cannot be steady, cannot be sober, will always be agitated and will always be unhappy. So this is this we're saying. So basically, we are elaborating on the concept of a sage of steady intelligence. So Krishna is saying that such a person is actually very happy because he's yukt, he's connected to Krishna in buddhi and in bhavna, in intelligence and in sentiments both. Let's read this. Can somebody read the whole thing, translation and purport?
I can do it, Mataji.
Yes.
One who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? Purport. Unless one is in Krishna consciousness, there is no possibility of peace. So it is confirmed in the fifth chapter 5.29, that when one understands that Krishna is the only enjoyer of all good results of sacrifice and penance, that life is the proprietor of all universal manifestations, and that he is the real friend of all living entities, then only one can have real peace. Therefore, if one is not in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be a final goal for the mind. Disturbance is due to want of an ultimate goal, and one is certain that Krishna is the enjoyer, proprietor, and friend of everyone and everything. Then one can, with a steady mind, bring without peace. Therefore, one who is engaged without a relationship with Krishna is certainly always in distress and is without peace. However much he may make a show of peace and spiritual advancement in life, Krishna consciousness is a self-manifested peaceful condition which can be achieved only in relationship with Krishna. Rebo.
We both. So this is now next few verses, 66 to almost all the verses now. Krishna is giving what is called peace formula. Okay, the world peace. Prabhupada used to call it the global or the world peace formula. So if you want peace in your life, this is the way to do it. Okay. The way to do it is to become yukta, become Krishna conscious, meaning attach your mind, your heart, your brain, your intelligence, and your sentiments, everything to Krishna. Okay, understand Krishna to be the only enjoyer. So don't keep yourself in center. Krishna consciousness means Krishna centered life. That I do everything for the pleasure of Krishna. I keep him in the center. I try to satisfy his senses, not my senses. Okay, that's a yukt person. So satisfy the source, satisfy your the ultimate truth, and then you will automatically be satisfied. You will automatically be peaceful, and if you're peaceful, Krishna is saying, then you will be happy also. So this is the peace formula. Um, and the other thing here that Prabhupada has not mentioned, but I've heard in classes, is how both intelligence and bhavna, both buddhi and bhavna, need to be steady in Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada used to actually elaborate on this in various places in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and other books of his, that we are not just a sentimental tradition. We are not just wearing our heart on the sleeve and just operating emotionally. Okay, if somebody asks you who is God, we have proper authoritative reason, logic, resources, citations, evidence of who is God, what are his pastimes, what is his name, what does he look like, what is our relationship with him, and what are the activities that we are doing and why we are doing those activities, how those activities are completely properly evidence based. So we have a very solid ground of philosophy to support us. So Prabhupada used to say that we need both philosophy and sentiments. Okay, this is a very famous statement of Prabhupada. He used to say, religion without philosophy is mere sentiment. So some people that are in certain religions that are not very well grounded in their philosophy, they are just sentimentally operating, and they are basically fanatics. They become fanatics, and that's why there are so many crimes and all in the name of religion, because they really do not understand the heart of the God. They do not understand the heart of the philosophy, the matter, the subject matter at all. So they do things whimsically, and that leads to fanaticism. So Prabhupada used to say, religion is a very beautiful statement. Religion without philosophy is mere sentiments and even fanaticism. And philosophy without sentiments is mental speculation. But there should also be sentiments. The heart need also be attached. Heart should also be attached to Krishna, because if there is only philosophy, if there is only intellect, then it's only it's like Gyani. You know how Gyani is just merely debating on the grammar and on the Sanskrit and on the philosophy and principles, but not really understanding the heart, emotions, the sentiments that are associated with the with this path. So you need to be grounded both in philosophy and in emotions. Otherwise, philosophy without sentiments is mental speculation. So we need to have both. We need to have religion with philosophy and philosophy with sentiment. So we need to have both. So this is something I wanted to bring your attention to, that we need to yukt our intelligence and our bhavna both in Krishna. Because if you're intelligent, remember the hierarchy of control. Intelligence controls the mind and senses. Once something appeals to our intelligence, once something appears to our, and remember, humans have a very solid, very high discriminatory power and judgment. Okay, we can, it's not, I mean, if we can purify our intelligence, if we can make our intelligence very acute and very sharp, then this material world will stop fooling us. People that fall off from the path of Krishna consciousness or that get distracted or debated are the people who are not very solidly situated in philosophy, in the subject matter. Because if your intelligence is not very sharp, not very acute, then sentiments easily get distracted by the mere sentiments of this world also. So we need to have a balance of both. Actually, Mahaprabhu said in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said very nicely, सिद्धांत बलिया चित्ते न करा आलस इहा है ते कृष्ण लागे सुदृढ़ा मानस सिद्धांत बलिया चित्ते सिद्धांत बोलने में कभी आलस मत करना so in reciting and narrating the principles of the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, never be lazy in learning it, never be lazy in understanding this philosophy. Iha haite Krishna lage sudrida manas. If you become solid in this siddhant, then your heart, your mind will become situated in Krishna lage. Krishna mein lagega. Tab mind Krishna mein lagega. Because intelligence controls the mind. The correct hierarchy is, who remembers that hierarchy? Can somebody tell me the hierarchy of control according to Bhagavad Gita? Let's write
Yes,
it.
yes. Yes, Mataji, I can tell.
Yes, Mataji.
The soul hierarchy is the passenger, and it controls the intelligence, which is the driver of the vehicle or the charioteer. And by the scriptures reading, we can sharpen it, which in turns control the mind, which can be fixed by chanting. And mind is controlling the senses, which are like the horses in the chariot, and by absorbing them in the Krishna consciousness or by using it for the service, we can get our desires controlled.
Haribol. Wow. Can we have three times Haribol for Mataji?
Hari
Haribol,
bol, hari
Haribol,
bol, hari
Haribol.
bol.
Mataji not only mentioned the whole hierarchy, she also mentioned what in the chariot example each element represents, and then she also mentioned how to control each element. That is just above and beyond, Mataji. Haribol. Very nice.
Thank you,
So
Mataji.
so this is the chariot example. Chariot. So remember, intelligence is the driver. So intelligence has the power to take our chariot anywhere it wants. So if our intelligence, if our buddhi is very solidly situated, that is why in some of the verses you will see that that buddhi yoga term is used, and Prabhupada has translated Krishna consciousness is equal to buddhi yoga. So buddhi yoga as such is not a term. There is karma yoga, there is gyan yoga, there is bhakti yoga. We know those are the yogas, right? Those are the authentic yogas. Yet Krishna keeps using this term buddhi yoga, and whenever Krishna uses this term buddhi yoga, Prabhupada translates it into Krishna consciousness. Because the our path is a very intelligent path. We are not just mere sentimentalists. Our sentiment is driven by the intelligence. Our sentiment is grounded in scriptures. So what we get angry about, what kind of sentiments we should feel, how we should what we should get upset about, what we should get agitated about, all those things, what we should get sad about, all those things are actually driven, those sentiments, devotee sentiments are grounded in scriptures. Please remember this. So devotees, for example, devotee getting upset or angry or sad, that is everything to do with Krishna, that is everything to do with their services, that is very properly grounded in Krishna consciousness in scriptures. It is not whimsical, it is not self-centered emotions. Their sentiments are grounded with Krishna in the center. Their sentiments are with Krishna in the center, not self-centered. So please remember this. So our intelligence and sentiments both need to be yukt, need to be attached to Krishna, need to be absorbed in Krishna. And when such a person keeps, so then um, um, people that keep Krishna in the center, Krishna centered life, and there are people that are me centered, right? Me centered life. So these people, Krishna centered life people, they're called yuktas, they're called devotees, and me centered senses are engaged in my service. This whole world is engaged, everything is being done for me. Me centered life. This will cause agitation. This will cause aggression, anger, like we read in that sequence, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa. So when somebody is self-centered, me-centered, this will lead to these people are ayukta, and this will lead to agitation, no peace, and no peace means no happiness. So Krishna is saying no shanti, and if there is no shanti, how can there be happiness? A shant person cannot be happy. So this is this verse. Let's go to next one. Next one is also, I think, on the similar principle. No. Oh, this is very, very wonderful verse. Let's read this. 2.67. Indriyanam hi charatam. Indriyanam
Indriyanam hi
hi
charatam,
charatam. Yanmano anuvidhiyate. Yanmano
janmano
Janmano anuvidhiyate.
anuvidhyate.
tad asya harati pragyam. Tad asya
Tadasya
harati
harati
pragyam.
pragyam.
Vayurnavam evambhasi. Vayurnavam
Vayurnavam
evambhasi.
vivambasi.
So let's read the translation and then go into Sanskrit. Actually, you can read the whole thing. It's very small. Who wants to read?
I can read, Mataji.
Yes, ma'am.
As a strong wind sweeps away a boat on the water, even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses can carry away a man's intelligence. Perfect. Unless all of the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, even one of them engaged in sense gratification can deviate the devotee from the path of transcendental advancement.
As mentioned in the life of Maharaj Amrish, all of the senses must be engaged in Krishna consciousness. For that is the correct technique for controlling the mind.
Hari bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So here Krishna is giving an analogy. Krishna gives very wonderful analogies. If you have noticed in Bhagavad Gita, I really encourage everyone to relish the beauty of Bhagavad Gita, how Krishna gave that analogy of tortoise before. So how the tortoise retracts its limbs into the body and compared those limbs with the senses and the world with the sense object. So like that, here also Krishna is giving another analogy, and it's a very beautiful analogy. He's saying, Indriya nam hi charatam. So if your mind is focused on these roaming senses, charata means charna, just the chalna. So senses are roaming everywhere. Senses are looking for something to enjoy. Okay, something in this world to enjoy. They want to contact with some sense objects. Unless sense is comes in contact with a sense object, it does not feel complete. It wants to do something all the time. Okay, so these senses are roaming. They're looking for some engagement. Okay. So if the mind focuses on even one of these roaming senses, even, we have, how many senses we have? Five senses, right?
Fine.
If mind focuses even on one of these senses, it can get carried away like the strong wind sweeps away the boat on the water. Okay. Now let me explain this analogy. Is it helpful when I'm writing down, or is it distracting?
Mataji, it's very helpful to me.
Is it
Yeah.
helpful? Okay, so I will.
Yes,
So,
Mataji, it's very helpful.
okay, so let's take this analogy. Krishna is saying wind. Imagine there is wind and there is a boat, unanchored boat, like a boat is just freely sitting in the river. So, just like a strong wind can carry away a boat, okay? So, strong wind is compared here to the senses, an agitating sense, like a roaming sense, okay? Sense that is roaming here and there. So, just like a strong wind can carry the boat away. Similarly, a roaming sense can take the mind away, carry the mind away. Okay. So remember again the hierarchy: intelligence needs to control mind, mind needs to control senses. But what happens if mind starts to indulge the senses? It starts to indulge, as in it starts to um, जैसे कि a mother agrees that a child can throw a tantrum or buy a toy that it doesn't need. If she starts indulging the child, yeah, it's okay, you can buy this toy. So if the mother starts engaging the son in their tantrum or in buying some needless useless toy, then the mother has basically become deviated, right? Mother is indulging the child. Mother is indulging the child in performing, in going astray, in going away from the path. Similarly, if the mind allows itself to focus on a roaming sense, on an agitated sense that's throwing a tantrum, then it will get carried away. So the forget my analogy. I'm sorry. Krishna's analogy was that just like the wind carries the boat away, similarly, sense is like a strong wind, and it will carry the mind away. Okay. Now, in our scriptures, a very nice example is given for this. Okay, let me give you that example. It's a very beautiful verse. This is often quoted in relation to this particular verse of Bhagavad Gita. The verse says that there are five animals. Okay, five animals are mentioned in the scriptures. These five animals are very famous for focusing on one sense. Okay, and even when they focused on that one sense, I'll give you the example. One example is of a moth. These moth like an insect, like a, क्या बोलते हैं उसको, moth को हिंदी में क्या बोलते हैं? Like a
Patanga.
parva, huh?
Patanga.
Patanga, yes, I'm sorry, patanga, yes, very nice. Is the Nagarjuna? I don't know who answered, but yes, patanga.
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Patanga. The example that was coming to the name that was coming to my mind was Parwana. Because remember, Parwana is in Urdu, I think, for moth, and it enters the fire. So moth or patanga is very attracted to the light. Okay, so which sense is getting uncontrolled? So moth, what does it do? It gets attracted by the light so much that it enters into the fire and kills itself. Okay, it enters into like a burning candle or a burning diya, and it will die because it's so attracted to the light. So it's which sense is getting is getting going astray? It's
His
eyes.
eyes.
His eyes, right? His sight has become so obsessed with the light that it will just fly into the candle and die. So just one of its sense killed it. One of its sense is enough to kill it. Okay. So so Patanga's example is given. Then other example is given of a mean. Mean is a fish. Okay, fish. Mean is fish. Fish is enough to get killed by a small um, the when people catch the fish, they put a little something to eat on the hook. Okay, so they put something to eat on the hook, so it gets trapped by its taste because it wants to eat that thing on the hook, and it gets hooked. It gets hooked, and the fisherman catches it. Right, people fishing catch the fish through their taste. So they exploit the taste sense, the tongue of the fish, because they know that the fish or the mean will get attracted by this food on the hook. Then another example comes of an elephant. Okay, so there are five animals or five animal planet species mentioned that get that destroy themselves, that kill themselves by just losing control of one of their senses. Does anyone know what elephant gets attracted by that kills it? How do people catch elephant?
She elephant, Mataji. She elephant.
She elephant. So what they do is, so this is by basically by the touch. So what they do is, they make a she elephant runs past the male elephant. And all she does is she just runs past the male elephant, and her body just touches the male elephant. Okay, just gently touches the male elephant just by running past the male elephant. And the male elephant gets so agitated by that mere touch of the female elephant that it starts running in agitation after that female elephant. And what do people do to catch the elephants? They lay a trap, जैसा गड्ढा खोद देते हैं, and they put a net on it, and the male elephant falls into it. In this way they are able to trap the male elephants. So elephant को वर्स में बोला गया है मातंग. So moth को पतंग, fish को मीन, और elephant को बोलते हैं मातंग. Okay, these are three examples. Then let's take more. Then two other examples are given of deer. Deer को बोलते हैं कुरंग. Okay, kurang. What does deer get attracted by? Who knows? Deer gets trapped by which deer?
Music. Music.
By the sound.
Sound.
By the music. So it starts chasing the sound. So deer gets trapped by the sound, and that's enough to chase a deer. Okay, and then the last example is that of a bumblebee, or of it's called bringa, or a bumblebee. Bee gets trapped by the what?
Fragrance.
By the smell. So by the nose. It's which sense organ? By the nose or by the smell. So if you know that, let's say a lily or a lotus, these flowers are very famous for closing in the night. So what happens is that they get attracted to certain flowers that have a lot of strong smell, strong fragrance, and the bee enters into the flower and is just so enamored by the smell, by the aroma of that flower, that it just sits there and forgets that the sunset is coming. And when the sunset comes, the flower closes. And when the flower closes, the bee gets trapped inside. So for all these five animals, five species, just one sense is exploited to trap them, to exploit them, to destroy them. So just one sense, if it goes uncontrolled, can destroy that jiva. So imagine for us, it is said that for humans, actually all of their senses are uncontrolled because there are so many attractions for us in this world, and all of our senses are running amok. We have no control over any of our senses. And so even one sense was uncontrolled, it will get carried away like a boat on the water. So for us, what to speak of somebody like us who has no control of any of their senses, someone who's attached to all five of their senses, there is no hope for them. So Krishna is giving a very strong analogy here. And this, the verse that I quoted, it says, Shabd adi bhi pancha bhirev pancha, pancha atma स्वगमुना बद्धा kurang matang patang मीन भृंगा नरा पंचाभिरा viranchitakim. Nara pancha viranchitakim. So for a nar, for a human who's attached to all five senses, what is the hope? Kim means what is the hope? So it's like asking a rhetorical question at the end. What is the hope for such a human who's attached to all five of their senses when these five animals are being destroyed by just one sense being uncontrolled? So when mind focuses even on one uncontrolled, one roaming, one agitating sense, um, it comes under the trap or the slavery of that particular sense. It becomes victim of that particular sense. Okay, let's keep going. We'll keep going for now and take questions in another maybe 10 minutes or so. 2.68. Tasmadyasya mahabaho Tasmadyasya mahabaho Nigrihitani sarvasha Nigrihitani
निगृहीतानि सर्वशः
Indriyani indriyarthebhyas
इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः
tasya pragya pratishthita tasya
तस्य
pragya
प्रज्ञा
pratishthita.
प्रतिष्ठिता
प्रतिष्ठितः
Okay, please read this. You can read the whole thing.
I can read Mataji.
Yes, ma'am.
Translation. Therefore, O mighty armed one whose senses are restrained from their objects is certainly of steady intelligence. Purport. One can curb the forces of sense gratification only by means of Krishna consciousness or engaging all the senses in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. As enemies are curbed by superior force, the senses can similarly be curbed not by any human endeavor, but only by keeping them engaged in the service of. Mataji, can you please do it? Yeah, in the service of the Lord. One who has understood this, that only by Krishna consciousness is one really established in intelligence, and that one should practice this art under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, is called a sadhaka or a suitable candidate for liberation. Hari Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is straightforward. I think we've been discussing this several times. So Krishna is again talking about restraint here. Tasmad yasya mahabaho. So mahabaho is referred to Arjun here, O mighty armed one. So tasmad yasya. So therefore, whose senses are controlled? Indriyarthebhyas means that who has controlled or restrained his senses from indriyartha. If you remember, indriyartha means sense objects or vishaya. So somebody who has restrained their senses from coming in contact with sense objects, tasya pragya pratishtita. Tasya pragya pratishtita, if you remember, was repeated a few times to Krishna used this phrase to talk about a sage of steady intelligence. So, sage of steady intelligence is somebody who's restraining their senses. And in Purport, Prabhupada is stating the importance of having a bona fide spiritual master under whose guidance you engage in do's and don'ts, right? So remember, there are two ways to control the senses. One is restraining them or withdrawing them, meaning practice certain don'ts, certain restrictions, certain regulations. The other way, which is an easier way, is to practice certain do's or attaching the senses to some higher taste, to divine consciousness. So those do's are the rules or the like the 9 limbs of devotional service or chanting and kirtan and glorification of the Lord. All those are the 9 um, limbs of devotional service, various do's versus various don'ts. Those should be practiced under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. So we don't just come up with what to attach our senses to or what to refrain from. We just do it under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. And so Prabhupada, has broken down this whole process into something very simple, where the basic do's and don'ts are that at the minimum chant certain number of rounds, and at the minimum follow the 4 regulative principles. So at the minimum, when you get initiated, those are the do's and don'ts you follow. But then, like we discussed last time, there are many more do's and don'ts. the Kirtanam, Shravanam. That's not part of our vows of initiation, right? That I have to hear some certain amount, or I have to go to Dham, or I have to do deity worship certain times, or I have to pay obeisances certain times, or I have to keep Ekadashi, right? Those are not part of our vows. Yet those things are all done by devotees, because that is the what is the vows of initiation is just the basic minimum that you do, but then on top of that you follow all these other do's and don'ts as well as a sadhaka, and those are done under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master. We don't come up with our own process, because remember that our intelligence and mind um, are very much under the control of our senses. Senses are just wanting to enjoy the material sense object. So if we concoct a process, it's very likely that it will be contaminating. It will not be very purifying. It will, it may be in the name of bhakti, in the name of being a sadhaka, you may be doing some nonsensical activity and calling it a devotional process. So that's why we follow the authorized bona fide devotional process as given by our acharyas, our teachers. Bhagavatam says that we should follow in the footsteps of the 12 Mahajans. Okay, Mahajano yen gathana pantha. So we should always follow in the footsteps of the 12 Mahajans. And Amrish Maharaj's example keeps coming in this particular area of Bhagavad Gita. I think it will come further in other purports, next few verses, because Amrish Maharaj is the perfect example of a personality who was a grahastha like us, who had a lot of responsibilities like us, yet he controlled his senses, mind, and intelligence by absorbing them in all activities of devotional service. So he was known for purifying himself through all activities of devotional service. Okay, let's do the next one. This is a very important verse, often quoted by Prabhupada and by our teachers. 2.69. Ya nisha sarva bhutanam, ya nisha
Yanisha
sarva bhutanam,
sarvabhutanam
tasyam jagriti samyami, tasyam
Tasman
tasyam
jagriti
Jagrati
jagriti
samyami,
Samyami
samyami
yasyam jagriti bhutani, yasyam
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 jagriti
Jagrati
jagriti
bhutani,
bhutani
Bhutani
sa nisha pashyato mune, sa nisha
Sa
pashyato
Pashyato
mune.
Mune.
Chapanite Mune.
Okay, let's read the translation, and I just want to focus on the Sanskrit. It's very beautiful verse. Can somebody read this?
I can read.
Yes, Mataji.
What is the night for all being is the time of awakening for the self-control. And the time of awakening for all being is night for the introspective sage.
Okay.
Very different.
Mataji, yeah, you'll continue after. Let me just show you the Sanskrit very quick. So what is day and night going on? What is going on here? What is Krishna talking about? What is night for somebody is day for somebody else, and day for someone is night for somebody else? What does it mean? So let's look at the Sanskrit. Ya nisha sarva bhutanam. Sarva bhutanam means for all people. Okay, for all living entities or all people. Ya nisha, what is night? Tasyam jagriti samyami. That is the day for samyami. Samyam means people that are self-controlled or self-realized, awakened souls, meaning liberated souls or advanced people, spiritualist people. For them, for those people, it is the day. What is the night for all people is the day for self-realized souls. Yasyam jagriti bhutani. And when other living entities are awake, that is the night for self-realized people, or for munis, that is the night. So before we read the purport, let me just clarify this again, since you like the writing. Okay, so first thing Krishna is saying is Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutanam. Okay, so there are all people. Let's take all people. And then let's take the, let's call these people self-realized souls. Self-realized people mean people that are very much in Krishna consciousness, or devotees, or advanced spiritualists, liberated souls. All of those can be called self-realized souls. So, Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutanam. What is night? What is night for all people? Is day for self-realized soul. So let's understand this part. What does it mean? Okay, let's understand only this much. What does this mean? So, what is what is night for all people means what is not very fun, let's say, not very tasteful, not very enjoyable for all people, where these all people will be very dull, very much asleep. So those things will be, for example, Krishna conscious activities. Do they want to come to let's say a satsang? Would they like to attend a kirtan or a class? Would they like to come to the temple? Would they like to visit a dham? Would they like to visit the deities? Do they want to eat prasad? So that is night for them. That is all very dull activities for them. They're asleep there, meaning they don't enjoy these things. They're asleep there. So night basically refers to something that is not very tasteful to they do not have taste for these things. They do not have any relish for these particular activities or these particular things. Okay, so no taste. There, the self-realized person is very awake. Day means being awake. So there, that self-realized person is very awake, very alert. So where is he very awake? In all these activities, a self-realized person is very awake. In temple, he's participating in services, doing all kinds of kirtan and chanting and dancing and sitting up front and center and very active, very engaged, very absorbed, very alert, right? So this is day for a self-realized person. He's very, very happy there, very uh, content and nourished there, completely satisfied there. Okay, so this is the first line. Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutanam Tasyam Jagrati Samyami. There, what is night, what is dull for all people is very relishable, very tasteful, very enjoyable for the self-realized people. Then the next line is, then if we understand this part, then we understand the second two lines also. So then what is Krishna saying? Yasyam Jagrati Bhutani. And what is day? Jagrati means when they are awake. What is day or when they are awake? Bhutani means all people, all living entities. When are they Jagrit or awake? Sa Nisha Pashyato Mune. That is night or that is very, they're asleep there. They're asleep there, they're very dull or inactive or aloof there. Okay. So what is day for all people? Day for all people is the worldly activities. So think of any kind of worldly activities, right? Going to the amusement parks or the pubs or the parties or drinking alcohol or things like that, whatever you can think of. So to worldly activities, these people are very awake, watching movies, let's say, right? All kinds of sense attractions and things that are there in the world. So they are very awake and very alert to these activities. Here, a self-realized person is very aloof, very inactive, very asleep. He's not very attached there. He does not get satisfied there. He's asleep there. Okay. So this is the concept of this verse. So day and night is not referring actually to day and night. It can refer actually to day and night also, but it is mostly referring to the state of mind of a materialistic person versus a Krishna conscious person, a yukt person versus a yukt person. This is the state referring to that state of mind, that where these people are all people are very active and engaged and happy and they have taste for these things, they have taste for these things, versus what self-realized people have taste for is very different. So their tastes, their mentality, their attachments are very different. So that's what is the meaning here. Let's read the purport also. Mataji, can you continue?
Yes. There are two classes of intelligent men. One is intelligent in material activity for sense gratification, and the other is introspective and awake to the cultivation of self realization. Activities of the introspective sage or thoughtful man are night for the person materially absorbed. Materialistic person remain asleep in such night due to their ignorance of self realization. The introspective sage remain alert in the night of the materialistic man. The sage feels transcendental pleasure in the gradual advancement of the spiritual culture, whereas the man in the materialistic activities, being asleep to self realization, dream of varieties of sense pleasure, feeling sometimes happy and sometimes distressed in his sleeping condition. The introspective man is always indifferent to materialistic happiness and distress. He goes on with his self realization activities undisturbed by the material reactions. Hare
Very good.
Krishna.
So I think this is clear. So Prabhupada is saying there are two classes of intelligent men. So some people are very intelligent in the world, in sense gratification. They will figure out many ways to enjoy this world. People keep coming up with various inventions and attractions to enjoy the world, more and more ways to enjoy. And that's what most of the world is busy in. There are people that are creating these, inventing these enjoying things, and some people are enjoying them. So that's all that is going on. So that is one class of men who are very active in enjoying this world, and they keep coming up with various ways to do that. The other class of intelligent men is that are very introspective, so they are very much internally situated. They are focused on the self, on the real self, and its activities, and so they are awake to the cultivation of self-realization. So they are acquiring knowledge. They are connecting themselves to the divine. They are very reflective, very much engaged in getting in doing services, and purifying themselves, basically internally purifying themselves. So that is the cultivation of self-realization. So some people are intelligent in that regard, and that is called the true intelligence in scriptures. So the people that are cultivating self-realization is the real intelligence. So sometimes when we see the word intelligence being used, or foolish, the word foolish is often used by Prabhupada for people. So when he's calling these people foolish, you have to understand that he is a liberated soul. He's a Vaikuntha man who has come here to give Krishna consciousness. And then he sees people just coming up with various ways to enjoy this world. So he's telling them that you're not intelligent, you're foolish. So the true intelligence, as per Krishna, as per scriptures, is to cultivate the self-realization. And Krishna says many times that that person is called the Buddha Bhav Samanvita, right? That person is called intelligent, who is engaged in my service. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam Buddha Bhav Samanvita. So like that, intelligent people know they are absorbed in me because they know that that's the goal of life, purpose of a valuable human life. So that's why sometimes we say some people are less intelligent because they are not very tuned into self-realization. They're tuned in this world. So those are the two types of intelligence, but we have to cultivate the intelligence that is attached to Krishna. So I think that the rest of it is clear. And of course, if you are engaged in the worldly activities, there will be disturbances. Sometimes you will feel happy because remember, sense gratification is not very fulfilling. It is not very deeply satisfying. Remember that its depth and length is very small. It's not. It's very shallow, and it doesn't last long. So and it gives distress sometimes. And if even if it gives happiness, it's very short-term happiness. And there is always um, some payment to that happiness, something you would have to pay back to enjoy even that much happiness. So some happiness or distress will come in the course of sense gratification. There will be disturbances, but introspective man is aloof from that because he's not engaged in sense gratification, so or personal sense gratification. He's only engaged in Krishna sense gratification, so he does not feel that happiness and distress. He's always undisturbed by material reactions. It's actually a very nice situation. I mean, it's a very nice state. When we are practicing properly, you feel that when you're aloof from this happiness and distress of the world, you're undisturbed by the external things. It's very steady, very sobering, very grounding feeling. And I think that's what Krishna wants us to achieve, and be situated in that consciousness lifelong. Okay, let's read last three verses. Again, this is very beautiful verse. It's actually one of my favorite verses from Bhagavad Gita. Favorite verse from this chapter also. Let's recite this beautiful verse. Another analogy here. Apuryamanam achalam pratishtham. Apuryamanam achalam pratishtham. समुद्रमापा प्रविशन्ति यद्वत्
समुद्रमापप्रविशन्ति यद्वत्
तद्वत् कामायं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे
तद्वत् कामायं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे
स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी स
शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी.
So another analogy here. Can somebody read this translation?
I can read, Mataji.
Yes.
A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into ocean, which is ever being filled, but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires.
Hare Krishna. So here, Krishna is saying that in our mind, like a regular person, their mind, there will be incessant flow of desires. Okay. So here, the analogy is that the mind is compared to an ocean. Okay. Mind is compared to an ocean. Just like in ocean, there are many rivers entering. There are so many rivers entering. But you see that ocean is not agitated by those rivers entering into it. So in the big ocean, there are so many rivers entering, right? Similarly, in a mind, on a daily basis, so many desires are coming. So desires are the rivers. So many desires are flowing into the mind. They're coming into the mind. But if you are a materially conscious person, if you are not a self-controlled, not a self-realized person, then your mind will be very much agitated by these desires. It's like if your mind is very shallow, if your mind is not like an ocean, if your mind is like a small pond. Let's say my mind, it's very shallow. It's like a small pond. Every pebble that I throw into the pond, you must have seen that it creates a lot of ripples, right? So if your mind is very shallow, it is like a pond, then every pebble that you throw into it will create a ripple. Okay, it will agitate it. So the mind will always stay agitated. It will always be suffering. Remember, all our suffering comes from our mind. Whatever we put into our mind, that's where the sufferings are coming from. Whatever emotions, desires, and thoughts. Okay. Um, can somebody, on a side note, somebody tell me the three functions of mind? Three functions of mind. Very important. This we can cover in sixth chapter, but I just wanted to quickly see if anybody can tell me. So, yes.
Thinking, oh,
Yes, thinking. So thoughts come into our mind.
memory.
Intelligence, I think it's more like memory.
Okay, okay.
So thinking, willing. Willing means desires. Okay, so we have so thinking means we have thoughts. Okay, willing means we have desires. Okay, and feeling. Feeling means emotions. Okay, feeling means emotion. So we get all the emotions in our mind, we get desires in our mind, and we get thoughts in the mind. These are the three reasons why anybody is suffering or struggling or disturbed in this world. So so when we are introspective, please focus on this. We'll cover this in sixth chapter more, the control of mind. But whatever is disturbing you today, right now, anything anybody said, did, made you feel, whatever, that's just you. That's just your mind. It's not the other person. It's just you. It's not the situation. तभी तो कहते हैं ना कि परिस्थिति नहीं मनस्थिति बदलो. So your mind is the problem, not anything else. So you have to fix your own thinking, your own willing and feeling. So, anyways, I was just saying that desires is a function of mind. So when many desires enter into the mind, if your mind is not very, if your mind is shallow like this, like a materialistic person's mind, then it will get agitated. But if you are a self-realized person whose mind is like an ocean, then so many rivers of desires can enter into it, and it will not be agitated. So Krishna is saying, um, let's see again. Krishna is saying that apuryamanam achala pratishtam. Achal means something that is very steady. Pratishta means situated. So um, the person will be steadily situated if his mind is like samudra. Samudram. Apa means waters or rivers. Pravishanti yadvat. If all these waters enter into you, apuremana means being filled into your ocean, but you stay steady. Um, so that person who can tadvat kama yam pravishanti sarve. So that person who's in whom these desires enter, but he can stay steady like an ocean, will feel shanti. Sa shantim apnoti. So the verse basically says that all these desires that enter into your mind, if a person can become steadily situated like an ocean, will feel shanti. Sa shanti mapnoti, na kama kami. But a kami person, a materialistic person who is running to fulfill all those desires, who's catering to all those desires, will not feel shanti if he is trying to fulfill all of them. But if a person is steadily situated, he will, ignore certain desires, cater to some of those desires, then he will feel shanti. Um, so, and this concept can actually apply to everything, whether it's emotions, whether it's the thinking, willing, feeling, to all of those things. To the thoughts also, you should control, you should disregard certain thoughts. Not every thought needs to be indulged, needs to be dwelt on. Not every desire needs to be dwelt on. Not every emotion needs to be dwelt on. A lot of those emotions, thoughts, and desires are just mental concoction and should be given up. So if they do not serve your highest purpose of Krishna consciousness, those thinking, willing, feeling can cause a lot of mental agitation. I'm just helping to apply this verse to everything with the mind, because this is the state of mind of a self-realized person. It's an oceanic mind. It's very achala pratishtam. It's situated in a very sober, steady way. It does not get distracted or agitated by incessant flow of either desires, thoughts, or emotions. Whereas a person who's calm, a kami, who's trying to fulfill all these desires, who's dwelling on every single thing, will become agitated. So, so again, we are learning the peace formula. Remember, so we are learning how to be peaceful in this world. So this is another peace formula. Can somebody read this purport?
Can read.
Yes, ma'am.
Although the vast ocean is always filled with water, it is always, especially during the rainy season, being filled with much more water. But the ocean remains the same, steady. It is not agitated, nor does it cross beyond the limit of its brink. That is also true of a person fixed in Krishna consciousness. As long as one has the material body, the demands of the body for sense gratification will continue. The devotee, however, is not disturbed by such desires because of his fullness. A Krishna conscious man is not in need of anything because the Lord fulfills all his material necessities. Therefore, he is like the ocean, always full in himself. Desires may come to him like the waters of the rivers that flow into the ocean, but he is steady in his activities and he is not even slightly disturbed by desires for sense gratification. That is the proof of a Krishna conscious man, one who has lost all inclinations for material sense gratification, although the desires are present. Because he remains satisfied in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, he can remain steady, like the ocean, and therefore enjoy full peace. Others, however, who want to fulfill desires, oh, want to fulfill desires even up to the limit of liberation, what to speak of material success, never attain peace. The fruitive workers like Salvanish and also the yogis who are after mystic powers are all unhappy because of unfulfilled desires. But the person in Krishna consciousness is happy in the service of the Lord and he has no desires to be fulfilled. In fact, he does not even desire liberation from the so called material bondage. The devotees of Krishna have no material desires and therefore they are in perfect peace. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So again, peace formula. So this line is very nice. As long as one is material body, the demand for sense gratification will continue. So senses will keep trying to exert their demands on the mind. And so these desires will always be there. There will be many desires. But devotee is not disturbed by such desires. So devotee knows he will use his intelligence and he knows which desires to fulfill and which ones to let go because of his fullness. And Prabhupada used this word many times. He's full in himself. So what is he full of? He's not full of himself. He's full in himself. Full of himself means like somebody is very proud or arrogant or false pride like that. No, no, he's full of Krishna. So devotee is full of Krishna. Like one of the Prabhupada's disciples, Jayanand Prabhu, who used to make who made the first Jagannath cart actually. And if you remember when we did the Rath Yatra, we put his picture on the cart. We always all the Jagannath carts have his picture on, because he used to make all the Jagannath Rath Yatra carts in those days, and he used to work very hard. He was also a professional, and he was working very hard in his life in other things, but also in he was serving Prabhupada very, very sincerely. So he said that I have filled my life with so many Krishna conscious activities that I do not have time to get disturbed or agitated. I do not have time to be unhappy, time to be to feel time to think. So this is, so mind has unnecessary thoughts and emotions. If we, जैसे होता है ना, खाली दिमाग शैतान का घर. So fill your mind, fill your day, fill your life with so much Krishna consciousness, so much Krishna conscious activities, that there is something to do one after next, one after next. So there is no time to be disturbed or agitated by anything. Plus, you're always in touch with the divine consciousness, with Krishna consciousness, that there is no time to have these bad thoughts or bad emotions, or be harassed by the world, or by the situations, or the people, or the anything, because you're so full, you have so many things to do. Where is the time to be disturbed? So the desire, unnecessary desires, unnecessary impositions by the mind will not cause any problems if we just fill our life with Krishna consciousness. So when Prabhupada says he's full in himself, it means he's full of Krishna. His life is full of Krishna. So there are these people, the devotees of Krishna, are in perfect peace. Here, Prabhupada is quoting a verse. Without quoting it, Prabhupada has, let's see if somebody knows this verse. He says, the fruitive workers, this one, the fruitive workers, the salvationists, and also the yogis are all unhappy because of unfulfilled desires. But the person in Krishna consciousness is happy in service of Lord. Well, this is a very famous verse. Does anyone know? Nagarjun Prabhu? When you read Prabhupada's purports, Prabhupada has left so many times. He has just written the translation of the verses without writing the verse, and it's nice to find them because some of them are very famous. So when you read these purports, try to find them and mark them, because he's so you can see how authoritatively Prabhupada writes. He just quotes the verse without even writing the verse itself. I don't think Nagarjuna Prabhu is available. This verse goes like this, a very famous verse. You can try to memorize it. Bhukti mukti siddhi kami sakali ashant, Krishna bhakti nishkam ataiva ashant. Actually, it goes other way. Krishna bhakta nishkam ataiva ashant, Bhukti mukti siddhi kami sakali ashant. So Krishna Bhakta Nishkam, because Krishna Bhakta is Nishkam. Krishna Bhakta is only engaged in service of the Lord, only engaged in gratifying the senses of the Lord, in satisfaction of the Lord. So Ataiva Shant, that's why he's Shant, he's always peaceful. Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami. Bhukti is the fruitive worker, Mukti is the salvationist, Siddhi is the yogis, and Kamis are the all these fruitive workers and those that want mystic powers. They are sakali ashant. They are all unhappy. They are all without peace. Sakali ashant, because of unfulfilled desires. But Krishna bhakta nishkam ataiva shant. That's why he's shant, because he's nishkam. So this is the meaning of this verse. Let's pause for a couple minutes. We have 2 more verses in this chapter, and that's where Krishna is almost wrapping up this chapter. But before we take that, any questions?
Mataji, what verse was that? The one which you were...
Mataji, it goes like this. Bhukti Mukti. Bhukti means bhoga karne wala. Mukti means who wants liberation. Siddhi means who wants mystic powers. Kami means fruitive worker. So Bhukti, Mukti, Siddhi, Kami, Sakali, Ashant. They are all Sakal. Means all. Ashant. They are all Ashant. They are all without any peace. Krishna Bhakta Nishkam, but Krishna Bhakt is Nishkam. We know Nishkam, right? When we work for Krishna's pleasure. Ataiva means therefore. Ataiva, like Sanskrit word for therefore, Shant. Therefore he's Shant. Hence he's Shant. Or that is why he's Shant, because he's Nishkam. He has no other desire. So again, and next verse Prabhupada will explain that when we say no desires, it doesn't mean we don't have desires. We have just dovetailed our desires in service of Krishna. Not that we don't have desires. We just don't have useless desires. We just don't have wasteful or unworthy desires, or just purely contaminating or materialistic desires. We have very worthy desires. We have very elevating desires, desires that will liberate us, that will not entangle us. That's the desire of a Krishna Bhakt. So anyways, I also wanted to convey with this verse that our mind needs to become like an ocean. That's what Krishna is saying. It should not be shallow. It should be very oceanic. It should be very deep, and it becomes deep by introspecting, by reflecting, not on outside things, not on people. What did somebody else do? Usne kya galat kiya? But to reflect on yourself, to introspect on yourself. Maine kya galat kiya? Or what are the things that I need to fix in myself? What are Krishna's expectations from me? And then that makes you oceanic, that makes you deep. You need to go deep, otherwise you're very shallow. It's like a pond, and everything that falls from outside will agitate you, and any small pebble can disturb you, whereas in an ocean even big rivers are not able to disturb. And this applies to all aspects of mind, all functions of mind: thinking, willing, and feeling, all thoughts, emotions, and desires, all of them. Okay, any other questions? Not, we can do last two. Okay, let's do the last two verses. Let's complete them. 71. Vihaya kamanya sarvan. Vihaya kamanya sarvan. Pumamscharati nispriha. Pumamscharati nispriha. Nirmamo nirahankara.
Nirmamo nirahankara.
Sa shantim adhigacchati. Sa shantim
Shantim
adhigacchati.
adhigacchati.
So Krishna keeps talking about shanti or peace. So this is the characteristic of a sage of steady intelligence, that they're peaceful. Remember, we're talking about sage of steady intelligence. They're sense controlled. You just read that their mind is also controlled, and they're always peaceful. So can somebody read this verse? We can, I think, read the whole thing.
Mataji, I can read it.
Yes, please.
A person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship, and is devoid of false ego, he alone can attain real peace. Yes, I think okay.
Let me show the Sanskrit very quick, Prabhuji, and continue. So Krishna is saying, Vihaya kaman. Remember, whenever we say calm always refers to materialistic desires, like lusty or materialistic desires, unworthy, useless desires. Okay, so vihaya means to give up. So those who give up these desires, materialistic desires, for sense gratification, and becomes free, nispriya, becomes free of desires, or becomes desireless. Okay, again, desireless means becomes free of materialistic desires. Also, nirmamo means me and mine, this tendency, becomes free from this false ego of proprietorship. Nirahankara, it's basically same meaning. Nirmamo and nirahankara means he becomes free from false ego, free from false proprietorship. Sa shantim adhigacchati. That person will attain peace. So three things are needed to become nispriha. Nispriha means to become desireless. Nirmamo means, mamo means mine. This is mine, right? Nirmamo means not mine. So I'm not the proprietor. I'm not the controller. Nirahankara means without ahankar or without false ego. So person who's desireless, who is without this proprietorship tendency, and who is without false ego, he will get shanti. Let's read this and then we will understand it. Prabhuji, please continue.
Yes, Mataji, sorry, I was trying to unmute. To become desireless means not to desire anything for sense gratification. In other words, desire for becoming Krishna conscious is actually desireless. desirelessness. To understand one's actual position as an eternal servitor of Krishna, without falsely claiming this material body to be oneself and without falsely claiming proprietorship over anything in the world, is a perfect stage of Krishna consciousness. One who is situated in this perfect stage knows that because Krishna is the proprietor of everything, everything must be used for the satisfaction of Krishna. Arjuna did not want to fight for his own sense gratification, but when he became fully Krishna conscious, he fought because Krishna wanted him to fight. For himself, there was no desire to fight, but for Krishna, the same Arjuna fought to his best ability. Real desirelessness is desire for the satisfaction of Krishna, not an artificial attempt to abolish desires. The living entity cannot be desireless or senseless, but he does have to change the quality of the desires. A material desireless person certainly knows that everything belongs to Krishna. Ishavyam idam sarvam. And therefore, he does not falsely claim proprietorship over anything. This transcendental knowledge is based on self-realization, namely knowing, Mataji, you have to little bit, yeah, perfectly well that everything living entity is an eternal part and parcel of Krishna in spiritual identity, and that the eternal position of the living entity is therefore never on the level of Krishna or greater than him. This understanding of Krishna consciousness is the basic principle of real peace. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So here I want to show you 2 points. Desire part, I think you understand. So this line Prabhupada mentioned, very nice. He says Arjuna did not want to fight for his own sense gratification. But when he became fully Krishna consciousness, he fought because Krishna wanted him to fight. So then he fought to his best of the ability. So this brings us to that principle of day and night again. So when Arjun, think about it, when Arjun was in materialistic consciousness, bodily consciousness, okay, when he was in bodily consciousness, that time he was thinking it was a me-centered consciousness. Mera kya fayda, right? So he was looking for, he said, it's all waste, it's all loss for me. There is no benefit at all. So at that time, he did not want to fight because he was in a materialistic consciousness. He did not want to fight. But when he changes his desire, so when his desire was just to fulfill his own agenda, his own looking out for his own self-interest, then he did not want to fight. But when the same Arjun now acting like a devotee, like a self-realized soul in Krishna consciousness, keeping Krishna's interest at heart, keeping Krishna in the center, now his desires have changed. So when somebody dovetails their desire to Krishna, then those desires they become very active about, whereas a self-realized person is not very active for when he thought ki, okay, this is not going to serve any purpose, then he did not want to fight. But when he realized it's going to serve the purpose of Krishna, then he fought to the best of the ability. So that's the situation with devotees. They will not do things for themselves. They will not do things that will just serve their own purpose, right? They're not keeping themselves in center. But when it comes to Krishna consciousness, they are very aggressive in Krishna consciousness. Actually, it is said that the real humility is to become aggressive for Krishna. To become an aggressive, we are not talking about doing something violent or whimsical. We are talking about aggressive means to be very active, like day and night wala principle. To become awake, alert, absorbed, because this is where you are active. You are active in the interest of Krishna. So there you are awake, you are engaged, you are absorbed, you are up front and center, and there you will fight means you will be active, you will be engaged. So fight doesn't mean literally fighting, but fight means to be alert and be indifferent when it's just for your self gratification, your self interest and doesn't serve anything else. Then you can become inactive, you can become indifferent and aloof. There's one thing I wanted to highlight. The second thing, so three things Krishna said. Nispriha means desireless, that part you know. Then he said nirmamo and nirahankar. Nirmamo and nirahankar basically means the same thing. It means to be devoid of false ego. So false ego means ahankar. Let me ask everyone, what is your understanding of false ego? If I ask you what is false ego, what does it mean? Or ahankar? Can different people, I'm sure everybody can give some answer to this because different answers are possible. It's not just one fixed definition. So what could be the possible?
I am the doer of things.
I am doer. What else? False ego. When we say false ego, what does it mean? And then you can.
I achieved something on my own, or I am the cause. That's why it is happening.
Okay, that's like this only, right?
Yeah. Sorry.
But like in our, according to Bhagavad Gita, according to our scriptures, according to what you have understood from uh, our readings so far, what do you understand from false ego? Yes, Ravi Prabhu.
Mataji, false ego, what I understand is the false identity. Understanding that I am the everything, like losing my identity, which is like I'm a spirit soul. तो दैट दास जो है, हम दास हैं, और जो नाथ का जो भाव आ जाता है, लाइक आई एम द मास्टर, दैट इज अ फॉल्स ईगो टू माय अंडरस्टैंडिंग.
Yes, very bold, very nice. Yes, Prabhuji. That is the conclusion. That is the summum bonum of everything. False identity. So false ego means. Basically, there can be many ways to describe it, but it means having bodily conception, to not understand that you are the soul, to think that you are the body. So sometimes we call false ego as bodily conception, okay, dehatma buddhi. Sometimes we call it that I am the master, right? I am the Lord. Like Prabhupada calls it lordship. Prabhupada calls it lordship mentality. Lordship mentality or is also false ego. Same thing. It's all different names for the same thing. Lordship mentality or bodily conception or enjoyer tendency. Okay, enjoy that I am the enjoyer. Like Prabhuji said, master. I am the enjoyer. I am the master. I am the owner or proprietor. Prabhupada used the word proprietor. Nirmamo. So mama means mine. This is mine. I'm the owner. I'm the proprietor or I'm the master. I'm the Lord. So having this lordship mentality, I'm the enjoyer. Everything is meant for me. So my senses should serve me. Intelligence should serve me. World I can exploit because they should serve me. Bodily conception. Okay. So this is all not knowing your servant position, but to think all of this is called false ego. Okay. So Krishna is saying, don't be like that. Nirmamo nir ahankara means get situated in the true ego. What is true ego? So opposite of that is the true ego. So true ego means servant mentality, servitude, understanding that I am the das, I am the servant. That's why when you get initiated, you get the word das behind your name, because das or dasi means that you are the servant. So aham mameti, this is me and mine, that is false ego. But jivera swarup hoy krishnera nityadas, that's true ego. So true ego is that Krishna is the master, Krishna is the proprietor, I am the servant, he is all those things. He is the Lord, he is the enjoyer, all those things that you said about yourself before. Now you're saying about Krishna. He's the Lord, he's the enjoyer, he's the master, he's the proprietor, he's the owner, he's the controller, and I am his servant. So since he's all of those things, he should be in the center. That is the true ego. And that is our natural position. Okay, so true ego, nirmamo nirhankar, is our natural position of the soul. Okay, false ego is the artificial position of the soul. This is a natural position of the soul. The more we are situated in our natural position of servitude, the more peaceful we are. So here the example is given, the analogy is given of a fish in the water versus fish out of water. So when fish is in the water, she is in her natural position and she will not be disturbed. She will be at peace. She will be nourished. She will be satisfied because she is in her natural position. So the more we can be in the true ego, nirmamo nir ahankar position, a servitude position, that will be our natural position, and you will never feel any agitation, disturbance, suffering. Every second that we are not in our natural position, that we are in the position of enjoyer mentality or proprietorship mentality or lordship mentality or bodily conception, that second we will suffer, that particular minute we will suffer. So as soon as fish will come out of water, for even a second, she will suffer. Similarly, a soul, as soon as she comes out of the natural true ego position, the soul will suffer. So this is what I wanted to bring your attention to in this purport. I think one more and then this is the last verse. So now Krishna is going to wrap it up. He'll tell us what happens when you do all this. He says, Esha Brahmi Sthiti Partha, Esha Brahmi Sthiti Partha, Nainam Prapya Vimuyati, Nainam Prapya Vimuyati, Stitvasyam Antakalepi, Stitvasyam
Antakalepi
Brahma Nirvanam Richati.
Brahma Nirvanam Richati.
Can somebody read this? Maybe we can read the whole thing, I think. Can someone read this? And finish it off.
I can read, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu.
That is the way of the spiritual and godly life, after attaining which a man is not bewildered. If one is thus situated even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God. So, purport by Srila Prabhupada. Can I say Mataji purport?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hold on. Let's see the Sanskrit very quick. Just two words are important here. So he's saying Esha Brahmi Sthiti Partha. So Brahmi means there's a Brahman word. Brahman means spiritual platform, right? So Brahmi Sthiti. So if you're situated in this spiritual or godly platform, this whole thing that we discussed, mind is controlled, sense is controlled, understanding your true position, true ego, that is the Brahmi Sthiti. So if you're situated on this Brahman platform, this godly, divine, spiritual platform, Nainam Prapya Vimuyati. Nainam means then you will not get bewildered, then you will not get confused. Stitvasyam Antakalepi. And if you can maintain this type of consciousness, Antakalepi, until the end of your last hour, until the last hour of your life, until the end of your time. Stitvasyam Antakalepi, until the end of this life. Brahma Nirvanam Richati. Then you will enter into the spiritual kingdom of God. Again, Brahma means the spiritual or the divine platform of God. Attains. Richati means attains. So develop this consciousness and try to stay in this consciousness more and more and more. And then you will get the kingdom of God. Yes, Prabhuji, please continue.
One can attain Krishna consciousness or divine life at once, within a second, or one may not attain such a state of life even after millions of births. It is only a matter of understanding and accepting the fact. Katwanga Maharaj attained this state of life just a few minutes before his death by surrendering on to Krishna. Nirvana means ending the process of materialistic life. According to the Buddhist philosophy, there is only void after the completion of this metal life, but Bhagavad Gita teaches differently. Actual life begins after the completion of this metal life. For the gross materialistic, it is sufficient to know that one has to end this materialistic way of life. But for persons who are spiritually advanced, there is another life after this materialistic life. Before ending this life, if one fortunately becomes Krishna conscious, he at once attains the stage of Brahma Nirvana. There is no difference between the kingdom of God and the devotion service of the Lord. Since both of them are on the absolute plane, to be engaged in transcendental loving service of the Lord is to have attained the spiritual kingdom. In the material world, there are activities of sense gratification, whereas in the spiritual world, there are activities of Krishna consciousness. Attaining the Krishna consciousness even during this life is immediate attainment of Brahman, and one who is situated in Krishna conscious has certainly already entered into the kingdom of God. Brahman is just the opposite of matter. Therefore, Brahmisthiti means not on the platform of material activities. Devotion service of the Lord is accepted in the Bhagavad Gita as a liberated state. Sa gunam samadhiyahetyan brahma bhuyate kalpate. Therefore, Brahmisthiti is liberation from metal bondage. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur has summarized this second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita as being the contents of the whole text. In Bhagavad Gita, the subject matters are Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. In the second chapter, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga has been clearly discussed, and the glimpse of Bhakti Yoga has also been given as the contents of the complete text. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the second chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of its contents. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, yeah, so here I think just main thing to understand is that whenever we start doing spiritual activities and when we start becoming Krishna conscious, living this Krishna conscious life, keeping Krishna in center, working for satisfaction of Krishna, we are situated on the Brahman platform or Brahmi Sthiti, Prabhupada is saying. So then you start going towards liberation. So more and more we can stay in Krishna consciousness if we can just make every minute of our life Krishna conscious until the end of the life, then we will automatically reach the kingdom of the God. And Prabhupada so one point Prabhupada is saying is it's very simple to be Krishna conscious. um, like he's giving the example of Khatwanga Maharaj. This example comes in Srimad Bhagavatam. Parikshit Maharaj, Shukdev Goswami gave this example to Parikshit Maharaj, that Khatwanga Maharaj perfected his life in just 1 minute. So because Parikshit Maharaj had 7 days. So he's basically saying that you have more than enough time to perfect your life. And we definitely have more than enough time, hopefully. But even in a minute, even in just a few minutes, one can attain Krishna consciousness. But it's a matter of developing this deep relationship with Krishna. And you have to do that. It's a struggle to do that every minute of your life, every day of your life, day in and day out to maintain Krishna consciousness. So just my understanding is that if you fill your life with Krishna consciousness, more and more activities that you do for Krishna, the more you get the reciprocation, the more you get mercy, the more your mind and senses and intelligence get attached to him. And so less the time you have to be engaged in the material world. And so there are less disturbances, more peace. And then Prabhupada is saying Brahmi Sthiti means not on the platform of material activities. So people that are completely engaged in Krishna consciousness, they are free even in this material world. Like in people that are liberated souls, even though they are living in this material world, they are free from this material world. इसमें एक example आता है. There is an analogy for this. Prabhupada gives in Bhagavatam, maybe in Bhagavad Gita also somewhere, but Bhagavatam for sure. Example of a coconut. जो dry coconut होता है, उसको अगर हिलाते हैं तो उसके अंदर की shell, you can hear that it's moving. You can hear it rankling inside. So Prabhupada describes a liberated soul as that inner coconut, which is inside this dry, hard shell, but it is separate from this shell. It has become dried or desiccated over time and has become separated from the hard shell. So you can hear it rankling inside. And if you break that coconut, immediately it falls out. वो जो कोकोनट होता है जो चढ़ाते हैं ना, चढ़ाते हैं भगवान को, वो एकदम से सेपरेट हो जाता है. It is not attached to the outer shell because by desiccation, by living in this material world over a long period of time, it has become the liberated souls have developed detachment from it. So liberated soul is aloof, indifferent from this world, and even though they are living here, they are completely absorbed in Krishna's services. Okay, we'll stop here. This is the end of the second chapter. Let's see if anybody has any questions just for a few minutes. Any thoughts, points, questions, realizations, anything during your readings you came across that you wanted to highlight or that you really liked?
Mataji, one thing I really liked today is that how you gave those 5 animal examples, that how one sense can affect, So I think for me I really liked how it makes sense, with the 5 animal analogy. I think that was really, really good.
That is a famous verse in the scriptures, often used to give the example for this point. that even one roaming sense can can cause so much distraction, can cause actually death. What to speak of somebody whose five senses are disturbed. Okay, yes, thank you, Mataji. Who else wants to share the points that they liked? Not necessarily from just today, but just overall during your reading of Bhagavad Gita so far, something that became very nicely clear, or that is really close to your heart, something that touched you. Let's see, Hiral Mataji, Pooja Mataji, you want to share anything?
Ji Mataji, I have one this thought in my mind. I don't know. In Nirbhay Prabhuji class, I heard this shloka that Ishvara Paramananda Satchinanda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karan Karanam. So if he's the causer of all the things, he's the ultimate cause for all reasons, he's the supreme refuge. So why are some people and he's like Kamsa, he also made him do all the things which he wanted to. So how, on what basis, what is the criteria for choosing some souls for the good services or for the devotional services or bhakti bhav, and for some others to go through such things or not so good things, and you know then on the basis of the karma they get agla janam, or they get liberated. So what is the reason for the basis of their choosing for some people's for some good cause and another for not so good cause?
Very nice question, Mataji. So Mataji, it's Krishna does not control what a jiva wants to do with their life, with their time, with the options they have. Krishna, there is a concept called free will. Okay, everybody has a free independence or minute independence, free will or minute independence. Okay, everybody has a choice. So, for example, I'm sitting here um, in a dark room and I'm saying that the sun is not shining. Okay. But I have made the choice to sit in the dark room and I've decided not to go out where the sun is shining. Now it's my choice. I could step out into the sunshine and then the sunshine will fall on me and I will feel the warmth, I will feel pure and I will feel happy and there will be light and I'll be able to see things. But it is my choice. I have this minute independence, this free will to decide whether I want to go out in the sun or stay in the dark, in the cold, in the ignorance, not able to see anything and be all depressed and dark and gloomy, right? It's my choice. So, Krishna, when we say Sarva Karana Karanam, it's not that Krishna is controlling our free will. Krishna is not like controlling us like a robot. Okay, so we are not his robots. We are not his slaves. We are his servants. There is a difference between being. Krishna does not want us to become his slaves. He wants us to become his servant out of his own free will. So if somebody does not want to come out of the darkness into the light, Krishna is not going to drag him out. Okay, Krishna is going to let them sit. He may present them options. It's possible a devotee may enter into the room or somebody may make a phone call. Hey, come out. It's very nice sunshine outside. They still may ignore them. So Krishna may send devotees in your life to make changes. He may send Bhagavad Gita in your life. You may attend one class, two class, then you give up. Or people give up even after initiation. People give up even after being in contact with this knowledge for like 10 years, 5 years. They stop practicing suddenly because Maya's influence is so strong. So it's our choice who we decide to listen to, what we decide to do with our time, with the options that we have. Krishna has given us options. He's not going to force us to do anything. He will give us options, then we have our free will to decide whether we take it up, whether we discard it. So that is just a quick answer to that. So he's not making anyone do anything. It's that jiva's choice if they want to be against Krishna or they want to move towards Krishna. If they're against Krishna, then Krishna, that's their desire. That's their desire, and Krishna reciproc. Our desires are our own. Remember that Krishna is not controlling our desires. Our desire is our own. What I do with my life is my own decision, my desire. So if my desire is to connect with Krishna, Krishna will facilitate that process. He will send more resources for that. He will send more facilities for that. He will make my intelligence acute in that way that I connect to him more and more. If I want to go away from him, he will also strengthen that desire actually. He will give facilities so he will make it easy for us to go away from him, to walk away from him. So if we want to walk away, that is also an option. That is also always there. So Krishna says, Ye yathamam prapadyante. So according to your desire, I will reciprocate with you. So he's not like micromanaging us. We have a minute independence, but there are certain things that are not in our control. So that's a big topic, Mataji, but it's basically minute independence. Matlab a certain sphere of things are in our control. Our desires are in our control, but there is a big, vast a thing outside of that minute independence which is not in our control, like the body that we get is get, or family that we get, or what happens with our health in future. To minute extent it is in my control because I can decide whether to eat healthy or not, whether to exercise or not, but still I may get some disease because Krishna destined that for me. So minute things, some things are in my control, some are not. To exercise and to eat healthy is in my control, but still may get disease or still may die tomorrow from something else is not in my control. Does that make some little bit of it understandable, Mataji?
Ji Mataji, I understood the point that there is also the free will of the jiva, but I do not understand why some people are doing the bad things to other people or maybe to the society, and some are just being good and nice. So that was my question: is Krishna is the cause behind these things, or is it only the free will that is operating in these individuals? That is the thing, because somewhere we all know that if somebody does something bad, it's all we know now, that Krishna is behind everything. He's the reason for everything. That was the confusion lying. Actually, I was not able to ascertain the thing over here, Mataji.
So yeah, okay, I get your question. So I was going to show you one of the prayers of a very great devotee. Her name is Mother Kunti, Queen Kunti. I'll show you her prayers. So she says, this is the answer to your question here. Let me see. My obeisances are unto you, who are the property of materially impoverished. You have nothing to do with the actions and reactions of the material modes of nature. You are self-satisfied, and therefore you are the most gentle and are master of the monist. Monist means like liberated people. My lord, I consider your lordship to be eternal time, the supreme controller. You are equal to everyone. The dissensions between living beings are due to social intercourse. You have no specific object of favor, nor do you have any object of envy. Okay, people only imagine that you are partial. So she's going on this concept. So basically what she's saying here is that whatever is happening in this world is done by people themselves to each other. They are doing certain actions, right? Independent of Krishna, they're acting in this world, and then they are getting certain reactions according to the laws of this world. Okay, so Krishna has fitted this world with certain laws. Those are caused by him. He has used his energies, he has implanted a software in this world which runs this world. So people are, what is that? That software is the law of karma. Okay. So according to that, people are performing certain actions independent of Krishna in their false ego. They're doing many things. They're doing some harmful things, some good things, some pious things, some bad things. Accordingly, they are getting their reactions, right? Some are getting good reactions, some are getting bad reactions. Those reactions lead to further actions. Then they do certain further actions. And they work according to the modes of material nature. So some people are born in good modes, like mode of goodness. Some people are born in tamasic or rajasic mode. Again, this is decided by their previous actions and reactions. In this way, this whole world is running by the software that is implanted by Krishna. Krishna is completely aloof from this. You are equal to everyone. Krishna has nothing to do with anyone. Krishna is equal to everyone. The dissensions between the living beings are due to the social intercourse. So because of their own interactions with each other, there are dissensions. There are dissensions mean there are arguments and conflicts and hypocrisy and duplicitousness and pretensions and whatnot, right? Fighting going on. So people are causing this to each other. They are doing certain things and then getting the reactions of that. Then they are born again in different mode of nature, and then they're again doing certain other things. But Krishna has no specific object of favor nor any object of envy. So it's not like Krishna is manipulating the situation in such a way that some people are getting favored and some are getting envious. Some he's envious against. But if you're going towards him, he will facilitate your detachment from this world. And if you are going away from him, he will facilitate your envy of him also. But the things that are going on in this world, Krishna is very aloof from them. He's not directly participating in the actions of people that have turned away from him. If you are turning towards him, then he will participate in your life. But if you are not turned towards him, he has nothing to do with you. So his energies, his laws that he has fitted in this world, those laws will operate on you. तो फिर जो आप गवर्नमेंट के अगर आप खास हो तो गवर्नमेंट में यूज इट्स इन्फ्लुएंस एंड पावर ऑन यू राइट बट इफ you are just an ordinary person, just then you are under the law of the government. So does that make anything more clear, Mataji?
Ji Mataji, ji.
This will become clear in Bhagavad Gita as you keep reading, because Krishna will start talking about himself. He'll talk about his involvement in this world, and he will keep saying that I'm aloof from this world. I'm completely separate from this world. And only people that take his shelter, he will participate in their life. He will reveal himself to them, not to other people. Other people are just suffering according to their own karmas, according to the laws of this world. So anybody else wants to add to that?
Yeah, Mataji, we also say that Krishna is kind to even those who do not worship. We say na he's kind and merciful to everyone. And now we are saying that who take refuge and shelter in him, he's participating in their life, of course, but he's kind and merciful to everyone. Then why we say that?
So if you are, so Mataji, let's say, let's take some example. For example, if a student in a class is very active, very alert, listening to the teacher, right? So the
Yes.
teacher, and he performs really well. So teacher will um, be very, gracious to them, maybe teach them even extra, give them, the grades will be given according to the kid's performance, but still teacher may pay attention to that kid more, right? Now,
Okay.
if you're aloof, if you're not, if you're just, just coming, doing your work, then teacher will just give you grade, but may not be very attached to you. You may not have a very friendly or like a rapport with the teacher, right? You may not have a rapport. Teacher will stay aloof from that person. So it's something like that. Like Krishna is not unkind to them. Krishna is just letting them suffer whatever they deserve. Whatever they're doing in this world, they're getting marks according to the paper they are solving, right? So he's not being extra unkind to them, but he's not being extra kind to them either. They're just in this world. He's kind in a way. He has supplied them everything, even though they do not believe in him, they're atheistic. Everything is still given to them by Krishna. Even though they do not give him credit, all their family members are coming from him. All the facilities, all the wealth they have, all the food they have, clothes they have, job they have, everything has come from Krishna, right? Those things are put in place in this world by Krishna. But they do not express any gratitude even though they eat the food. They do not express any gratitude. Did they grow the crops? Did they put the software in place for the crops to be grown? No, but they're
No.
just eating. So they're eating without even paying any gratitude, and Krishna is letting them eat. They get food all their life, right? People are eating so much. People are using clothes, and people are not offering anything to Krishna. They don't go to temple even once. They don't even remember Lord at all. And yet things are going on in their life. But whatever suffering comes, that comes of their own accord, according to their own actions in their lives, in their previous lives, in this life. He did not make those things, bad things happen to them. He has fitted just a law. according to which they are suffering or enjoying. But to people that are reaching out to him, they are very dear to him. To them, Krishna will reveal his personal things, like his heart, his he will reciprocate with them. Will you reveal yourself to a stranger on the road, or will you reveal yourself to a friend that's asking about you?
Sure, Mataji. Yes, that
You
makes
will.
sense now.
So I will only reveal myself, my confidences to person who's asking about me. Otherwise, I'm not gonna go tell. If somebody just invites me to their home, they didn't ask me what I want to eat, then I'll just go show up and just eat whatever they made. But if they're very friendly, very loving, Mataji, what do you like to eat? I will make that dish. Then I will open up and share something, right? Because they're asking about me. So
Right.
devotee is approaching Krishna. They want to know about Krishna. This is a matter of love. So Krishna reciprocates in love. But it doesn't mean that with other people he's envious or hateful. He's just letting them, whatever they're doing, they're doing.
Right.
So things are happening to them. They still blame Krishna, even though they are themselves to blame because of whatever actions they did in life, they suffer accordingly. But he's kind to everyone in a way that he's still the supplier, not expecting any gratitude in return, just doing things for them, and they're not even grateful or give him any credit, even though the whole world is situated on him as a foundation. So in that way, but of course there are many more aspects to this, Mataji. Just this is just a very prelim.
Yeah. Thank you,
And
Mataji. No, yeah, no, it makes sense, and you explained very deliberately. Very nice, Mataji. Thank you.
anybody else wants to add or ask anything else? Since today's our we won't have any class for next maybe 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm hoping it's okay that we had longer class today.
Mataji, I had one thing to add. So
Please.
when Duryodhana was behaving with the Shakuni, I mean, basically he was getting influenced through Shakuni. Actually, Gandhari had an option to guide Duryodhana in a better way, but she allowed him to behave the way he wanted to behave. And at the end of the time, when Lord wanted him to give at least 5 villages to Pandavas to just avoid the war, because of that ego and to show off that he's a great power, or to rely on Bhishma Dev and Karna's power and everything, he did not give anything to Pandavas. So, and then after the downfall of him, and then when the Lord approached Gandhari, and she was angry with the Lord, saying, "Hey, I mean, why did all my kids have to die?" But that was this is exactly what exactly is in this world is happening. Pretty much, we don't know our consequence of our action, but we just want our results in our favor. So, just wanted to share that. Hare Krishna.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you, Prabhuji, for sharing. Yeah. Even Karna, all these, yeah, like, I mean, I really like that you took the example of Gandhari, somebody who's pious. We're not necessarily talking about somebody who's a dharmi. We're talking about somebody who is following dharma, who's pious, who's following so much austerity that she's shut her eyes off for so many years. So she's a dharmic lady, very austere, very religious, very pious lady. And actually, Karna also, in a similar way, was actually very pious and very, always felt remorse, very deep. The remorse of insulting Draupadi ate him. It is described, it was like very, it ate at his consciousness his whole life. His conscience was very, uh, uh, you know, um, जैसे कचोड़ती है ना किसी को पूरी life. That's what happened with him. And he still, when Krishna offered to him before the battle that this whole war can be thrown off, this whole war can be avoided if you take side of Pandavas, if you don't side with Kauravas, because you are actually the eldest son of Mother Kunti, so you should be fighting on the side of Pandavas. You're elder to Yudhishthir also. So he had a choice. So we always have a choice to follow, even devotees, even in our life as a sadhaka, we have a choice to follow a lower principle or a higher principle. But you will see, I have seen in my own life also and in other people, we always end up choosing the lower principle. So lower principle means not principle that is not necessarily dovetailing to Krishna, that is taking away from Krishna. It may look like dharma, like Karna chose the principle of Maitri Dharma, कि मैंने वचन दिया है, मैंने मेरी फ्रेंडशिप है उसके साथ, तो वचन का धर्मा कि वाव ले लिया, या भीष्मा का जो धर्मा था, दैट वाज आल्सो लोअर प्रिंसिपल, कि वचन लिया है, सिर्फ वाव ली है, सो वाव टाइप फालतू की वाव्स लेना इधर उधर की, विच टेक यू अवे फ्रॉम कृष्णा, या फिर फालतू के लोअर प्रिंसिपल्स फॉलो करना, डेमी गॉड्स एंड ऑल दिस, दैट टेक यू अवे फ्रॉम कृष्णा. Always following lower principles will damage the higher principle. So even as devotees, we have to very deliberately make a decision to accept the dovetail our everything to higher principle. Even as devotees, it's not just a bit, we can narrow our choices towards Krishna more and more and more. So we always have a choice. Krishna does not take the choice away. Okay, so I think we can stop. Any other reflections? Chetan Prabhu, Hiral Mataji, you want to share anything?
No, Mataji.
Nahi, Mataji.
So
Thank
next
you
two,
for
3
explaining.
weeks.
Sorry, thank
Yeah,
you for
go ahead,
explaining all
please go
these
ahead.
concepts. I've read the second chapter many times, but I've not understood the way you've explained, in terms of like how senses and mind, and all of these things works together. And I'm still having a hard time understanding like how to live in a material world but be aloof from the material desires. Uh, Feels like that's a very, very difficult task as a human in this world. Uh, but I guess slowly indulging into Krishna consciousness might make us get into that path. So looking forward uh, for that path. And thank you for giving us that.
Yeah, it's not easy, Mataji, like you rightly said, but it'll become easier slowly. Just use your intelligence, your God-given discrimination and intelligence on what is right and what is wrong. There will be a lot of people and situations that will try to distract you, and always keep the higher principle in mind. Always keep the higher principle in mind. Chetan Prabhu, you were sharing something?
No, Mataji. I was saying like, yes.
Okay, so we can stop. So next 2, 3 weeks we'll probably not have a class. So please memorize those verses. If you are able to, please memorize the verse 2.63, because 62 and 63 go together. We did 62, but we didn't do 63. If you do 63, would have memorized 10 verses so far. And when we meet again, hopefully we'll do like a Kahoot or something from the second chapter, a quiz. And please participate in the quiz. It helps to actually fix the points even better in one's mind, and it's fun, so don't never again higher principle. The lower principle is ki, oh, I will lose, or log kya kahenge ye wo, but the higher principle is that oh, I will have fun in Krishna consciousness. I will not miss a class, I will not miss a learning experience. So keep that principle in mind. So please participate in that. And on your end, please keep reading these purports. Like Mataji said, she has read 2, 3 times. That's what led her to understand this. It's not that this class, it's something making her understand. It's Krishna reciprocates with her effort, because you put in the effort. He reciprocates because you've made the effort to read it before. So now things are unraveling for you and revealing to you. So just keep reading, highlighting, write in the margins of Bhagavad Gita. Decorate. The decoration of Bhagavad Gita is to write it, highlight it, write on it, highlight it, write your questions, your realizations, your whatever doubts, understandings. Those there will be so many of these eureka moments. Aha moments. Oh, okay, this is what it means. Write down those aha moments and share with everyone, share with all of us, so we can also, those realizations are very nice when they happen, and those are the reciprocations from Krishna. Okay, we'll stop for today. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Pancha Kaltarubhishcha Kripa Sindhuvaivacha Patithanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Gurve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Please, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.